that is where my bees are at. Used to be a sheep pasture. Now it's my bee yard, and I think this summer I'm going to move the bees all the way forward, and I'm going to till that all up, and I'm going to plant some sorghum or something like that for deer hunting. I like sorghum because it's going to be nice and tall. It'll act as a windbreak next winter for the bees, and that sorghum will also really draw in the deer with that thick cover. And if I spread some wheat or some clover or something like that in with the sorghum, they'll have some nice food to eat on come fall. So that's my plan for that area. Now I'm going to turn into the woods. There's the first ladder stand into the woods. And typically I'd take the trail these ways, but I'm going to turn here because there's a nice deer trail that runs through here. And I'm going to follow that for a bit. Maybe I'll get lucky and find some antler sheds. I can go that way or that way deeper into the woods. And I think I'm going to go this way deeper into the woods. And then I'll loop back and get some trail cam videos. There is my oldest tree stand that I have in the woods. This is a single cedar, like River's Edge or something like that. I bought it over 20 years ago, and I'd probably have shot the most deer out of that tree stand right there. They like coming out here and eating on all these hickory nuts that drop in the fall. And there's a few oak out here that they also eat on. There's my little water hole that's froze over. I'm going to replace that this year with a bigger one. I think that's 40 gallon. I'm going to jump it up to 70. And you can see there's some deer tracks that are coming up to it because they've patterned to it, so they're still going to walk to it even though there's no water available to drink. Down through here, I've done a few hinge cuts, not for bedding or for cover, but to create a trail so that the deer have a hard time moving through here and going along the sides. You can see this side is all brushy as well. So the deer have to walk this trail or go down farther to the next trail if they're going to cut through the woods here. And it works very well. I have a ton of doe and yearling during the fall that use this trail, and then the bucks try to cut across and come in after them. So using those hinge cuts for controlling movement worked really well. And then here is the buckhorn, my hunting blind that I have built. And it's only elevated maybe like 5 feet off the ground to the platform, but that's all I really need to see over this stuff. Some of these with tags, you can see, were actually shot. They are bucks that I hunted, whether it was gun or bow season from the past several years. Some of them, like this guy here, this one up here, these down here, they're deadheads that I have found in the woods, or right here, antler sheds that I have found in the woods. But this seems to be the best for rut season, my best blind for rut season, just because it's so thick out here. The doe come out here and try to hide and bed down, and the buck move in right after them. There's field right there to the corner, and then I have field edge right here all the way around it. I'm kind of nestled in this corner, and it's less than 80 yards in any direction for a shot in the woods, so good hunting blind. I'm going to cut back the way I came. As I'm walking across the woods, you can see I've done a bunch of cutting here. A lot of it was hinge cuts just to drop the trees and create some cover. Some of it was for the purpose of funneling the deer. And then after I did the hinge cuts, I came back through and funneled paths like this one right here. And there's deer tracks down here. They actually use this way more in the summer and the fall when there's leaves on all of this low growth brush. But I have another hunting spot back here. You can tell because there's a thumbtack in a tree. A lot of these are more hickory that once they grow up we'll get some nuts on them. Got a mock scrape and something's actually dug here. And then there's this ladder stand right on the edge of this cornfield that next year will be soybeans. And with the soybeans there's not going to be any cover for the deer. So I anticipate them moving through here in the woods and probably having a lot better hunting opportunity out of that this year than what I had last year. Although last year I did take a doe from that tree stand right there. She was over in this area, took off that way and dropped after about probably 40 yards. Now let's cut across, get to that trail cam. So this blind is the crow's nest. I have a nameplate on the other side by the ladder, and it overlooks a clover patch that is in my woods. I cut out some of the larger trees. Well, actually I had it logged, and you can see some larger tree stumps over there. Took down some of the smaller trees and tilled it all up. I didn't even have to spray it. I just had to get rid of the leaves and till it up. And I planted clover out here, and it grows really well actually. Let's see, you can see some clover down there probably. There's clover right here coming up. Right through the snow, the deer are digging for it. That's why this is all tore up. And they're eating on it in the wintertime even. I have a mock scrape right here that used to be used very regularly, and now it's just like a touch point for the doe and the yearling. It's not very often you see a buck that comes up and hits it, but the doe and the yearling tap it quite frequently. I have this trail cam on it, so I'll get the trail cam video, and if there's anything super variable on there, super awesome, I'll splice in some of the video. One of the things that I really like about the crow's nest hunting blind here is all this thick cover off to the side here. These are all little beech trees coming up from where we have cut down large beech trees like this. When you cut down a massive beech tree, they really want to live, so all the roots start making shoots that come up everywhere, and it creates all this thick cover. And the deer bed in this. That might even be just fresh from not that long ago since it's snowing. There's a little bit of snow in there. But not only do they bed in it, they have some nice trails that cut through here. There's one that goes off there. There's a heavily used one right here. And they use this almost like a windbreak and a shelter area. You can see rub on a tree. Look at all these deer tracks over here through this path. Okay, I am coming out to my food plot that I have out here, and the amount of time that I've sank into this is crazy, but it's very effective. You can't tell right now because it's winter, but in the spring and summer and fall, this whole thing is green and thick with clover. And last year in the fall, I spread some wheat seed, and that wheat started coming up, and the deer and the rabbits loved it. I had critters all over out here. You can see there's still tracks out here. They're digging and eating on it. There's a lot of green when you look down there through the snow. I have, what blind is that? That one is the greens, because it looks out over the green food plot. I've got a cell and solar trail cam right there. I have another ladder stand right here. And then this whole thick spot right here, all these little trees coming up. There's a trail that goes across on that side. I have a trail that cuts across on this side. And then the deer have a very heavily used trail that cuts right through the center there. And it goes towards another blind and a bigger water hole. So I'm going to cut through this way, and I'm going to actually follow the deer trail. This part of this food plot right here, I actually have always just left to grow up to natural stuff. Goldenrod, all that. But this year I think I'm going to work this up, and I'm going to do something thick, like sorghum or something like that. Mix it in with some clovers and stuff. Since we're surrounded by soybeans this year, I need some thicker cover. Look at that. The deer, you can even see right through the snow this path. The deer use this path all summer, fall and winter. In the spring, there's about a foot of water through here. So the only season they don't use this is in the spring. But look how thick it is. It's just super, super thick. So they like it. And they always use the exact same path year after year. This is the exact path that they walk, no matter what. If trees fall, they seem to just trample over them. But I also try to come in here and keep it cleared out so that they can continue to get through here, because it helps funnel them right to my blinds. You can kind of see the blind right through here. And this blind is called the Meadows. And I named it that because it's kind of meadowy out here. And there's a lot of little trees that grow up. Some of these are willows, some of these are elm, some maple saplings. But you can see there's deer tracks. I keep trees cut down like this for shooting lanes that go out to the open field over here. And because the deer eat them. Look at all these little tops are ate right off. The deer love these cut over trees for a food source. Every single branch out here. They're even eating on the bark. If they can reach it, they're going to eat every tip of every single branch on a tree that you cut down. Following these deer tracks around, it goes way into this thick meadowy spot. It gets way thicker to where it's even hard for me to walk through, but there are deer trails that cut through everywhere out here. And I have a trail cam out here, so I'm going to get those trail cam videos, and if there's anything interesting, I'll splice them into the video right here. So this trail cam faces, well, there's the blind, but there's also this buried water hole here. And I think this is 70, maybe it was 170. I don't really remember how big it was. It was a giant, like, cattle water trough that was rubber. And I buried it here because my other one was just not holding enough water. I got some rocks and some stuff up around it. That way the frogs can come and go. I got crayfish in there, and I got goldfish in there. And the goldfish should still be alive. They survived last winter in the smaller 40-gallon. But the goldfish keep the mosquito larvae ate down to where there's almost no mosquitoes. So that's super useful. And again, you can see there's critter tracks around here. I think those are probably a rabbit, but there's some deer tracks over here. And they have patterned themselves to this, which is great, even though I don't think I've ever shot a deer from that blind. I typically just don't use it, and I can't say why, I guess, because there's just always deer videos of deer here. I just don't cut through to that blind. Yeah, I've never shot a deer out of that hunting blind before, now that I think about it. Crazy. Okay, I am leaving the Meadows hunting blind, and I have a beehive right here. I have this one out in the middle of the woods, kind of away from all the other hives, for no reason really, just to make it seem natural and neat. And I am heading back to the clover food plot, where I'm gonna get those trail cam videos. And once again, if there's anything super interesting, I'll splice them in right here. So from the clover food plot, as I turn, I have the greens hunting blind, which was my last one I built, and I was running out of material. You can kind of see it's kind of slapped together there, but it's solid and it holds. You turn, I got all that thick stuff, and then I have another food plot right here that butts up along the edge of the field. Since I had corn last year, this food plot was clover and wheat, which all season long I had clover in there. In the fall I had wheat, and there's some deer tracks and stuff out here. They're still coming to it and eating on it. They loved it in the fall with that clover and wheat mixture. Don't know what I'm going to do this year. Thinking clover and wheat again, but I'm going to have soybeans, so I'm thinking I might do something taller in there. I might do like rows of sorghum with wheat or clover in between. I have no idea yet. This food plot actually wraps around, and there's another big spot of food plot on the other side of this outcrop of trees here. So I might mix it up. Who knows? Maybe I'll throw in something different. I don't know. But second food plot out here, right beside that larger one. From the food plot, I'm going to cut back into the woods. Look at all these tracks. This is tracked up with deer, rabbit, squirrel, and they all cut through this way. Some of them come this way. You can see tracks of mine from out here. Yesterday I was getting firewood. There's my truck tracks, and I'm going to turn into the woods here. It's nicely packed down. The ground is nice and frozen. This is another ladder stand that I went to actually move last year, and it's completely grown into the tree. I cannot move it. So I did a little bit of trail work and whatnot, and I have a nice deer path that runs right through here now. And the deer use it way more than I ever anticipated it. I never have shot a deer from up there, and last year I probably should have hunted out of it since these deer are moving through here now. But I just didn't. So maybe this year I'll use it a couple times and see what happens. The deer come from the woods over here, and they cut right through to the open field. So it might be a really good spot for early bow season when the soybeans are still a little green and edible as they go out into the bean field. I don't know. I'll see what happens.